Why do some people with average talent and limited resources achieve extraordinary success, while others, equally intelligent and capable, remain stuck, frustrated, and unable to break through? The answer is not always money, opportunity, or luck. The real difference often lies in one invisible factor: mindset. Think about it. Two people may face the same problem, but one sees it as an impossible obstacle, while the other views it as a challenge to grow stronger. One interprets failure as proof they aren't good enough, while the other treats it as feedback to learn and improve. The circumstances are the same, but the outcomes are drastically different. The difference is the way their minds are trained to think. If you feel stuck, if you've worked hard yet feel like your results don't match your efforts, then the barrier is not always external. It may be internal. It may be the patterns of thought you've repeated for years without even realizing it. A mindset filled with self-doubt, procrastination, fear of rejection, or fixed beliefs about your potential will silently sabotage your growth. But here's the good news. Your mindset is not permanent. It is not a fixed wall. It is clay that can be reshaped, redefined, and redirected. By understanding the hidden ways your mind blocks your progress, you can break free from invisible chains and step into the success you've always wanted. This audiobook will guide you through those hidden traps, show you how to reprogram your mind for growth, and help you build the mental strength to not just dream about success, but to live it. Chapter 1. The Invisible Prison of Limiting Beliefs. Before we talk about strategies, tools, or success habits, we need to expose the silent enemy that lives in nearly everyone's mind: limiting beliefs. These are the hidden assumptions you carry about yourself, others, and the world. They operate quietly, often without your awareness, but they dictate your choices, shape your behavior, and ultimately determine your destiny. A limiting belief is not necessarily based on truth. It's based on repetition. Maybe you once failed an exam and decided you weren't smart enough. Maybe someone told you as a child that you weren't leadership material. Maybe you struggled financially growing up and assumed that wealth was for other people, but not for you. These thoughts are like invisible walls. You don't see them, but they stop you every time you try to push forward. Consider this. A person who believes they aren't capable of learning new skills will never try to learn. A person who believes success is only for the lucky will never commit to the hard, consistent work success demands. A person who believes relationships always end in disappointment will never invest fully in love. The result: their belief becomes their reality. Psychologists call this a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you believe about yourself subtly influences your action. If you think you're destined to fail, you won't put in your best effort. When the failure happens, it confirms your belief, and the cycle continues. Now imagine this in business, career, or personal growth. A brilliant idea may die before it's born, because the person carrying it believes, "I could never pull this off." A promotion may never be pursued because the employee silently thinks, "I don't deserve it." Success may never be reached because the person believes it's impossible. The real tragedy is that these limiting beliefs are rarely questioned. They sit in your mind for years, unchallenged, shaping the way you see yourself and the world. And here lies the invisible prison. Most people are not trapped by actual walls, but by thoughts they never dared to test. So how do you break free? The first step is awareness. You cannot defeat what you cannot see. Begin by paying attention to the internal dialogue running through your head every day. What do you tell yourself when things get hard? What story do you repeat about your potential? Do you instantly say, "I can't"? Do you assume, "That's not for me"? These are signals of limiting beliefs at work. The second step is challenging those beliefs. Ask yourself, is this really true? Do I have absolute proof that I can't succeed? Or is this just an old thought I've repeated so many times it feels real? Most of the time you'll discover that your belief is based on fear, not fact. Finally, the third step is rewriting your inner script. Instead of saying, I can't do this, replace it with, I don't know how to do this yet. Instead of thinking, I'm not smart enough, tell yourself, I can learn what I need. This shift seems small, but over time it opens doors you once thought were closed forever. Every great success story begins with someone daring to believe differently. What if you gave yourself permission to do the same? What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is not a lack of resources, but a lack of belief? Your mindset can be your greatest prison, or your greatest power. The choice is yours. Chapter 2. Fear, comfort zones and the silent killers of growth. If limiting beliefs are the invisible walls of the prison, then fear and comfort zones are the guards that keep you locked inside. They don't shout or chain you down. Instead, they whisper soothing lies. It's safer here. Don't take the risk. Don't step out. Stay where you are. On the surface, fear feels like protection. It tells you not to embarrass yourself, not to fail, not to lose money, not to get hurt. And in some ways, fear has a purpose. It kept our ancestors alive when danger lurked around every corner. But in today's world, fear doesn't usually protect you from predators or physical harm. Instead, it protects you from growth, change, and opportunity. The illusion of safety. Most people don't realize this. Comfort zones are not safe. They are dangerous in disguise. When you stay in your comfort zone, you avoid failure. Yes, but you also avoid growth. You avoid risk, but you also avoid reward. You protect yourself from rejection, but you also block yourself from connection, learning, and expansion. Think about how many people you know who want a better life, but keep doing the same things, day after day, year after year. They dream of more money, but never take a new opportunity. They dream of confidence, but never step onto the stage. They dream of freedom, but never leave the job they hate. Why? Because they cling to comfort zones that feel safe, but silently destroy their future. The truth is this: staying where you are is not neutral. If you are not growing, you are decaying. Comfort zones shrink over time. What once felt comfortable will eventually feel suffocating. The voice of fear. Fear doesn't just hold you back. It disguises itself as logic. You've probably heard that little voice in your head say, I'll start when I'm ready. This isn't the right time. What if I fail? I don't have enough experience. These sound like reasonable thoughts, but they are fear in disguise. They are not protecting you. They are paralyzing you. Fear has one job: to keep you from stepping into the unknown. And unfortunately, everything you want, growth, success, opportunity, lives in the unknown. Examples of fear in action. A talented writer never publishes their work because they fear rejection. An ambitious employee never asks for a raise because they fear hearing no. A creative entrepreneur never launches their business because they fear failure. Notice something. In each case, the person doesn't just avoid rejection, failure, or embarrassment. They avoid the possibility of success. Fear doesn't just block pain. It blocks possibility. The cost of comfort. Now let's look at the long-term cost. Imagine someone who spends 10 years in their comfort zone. They keep the same job, complain about it, but never change. They stay in relationships that drain them, because leaving feels scary. They never pursue their passions, because what if it doesn't work out? 10 years later, what do they have? Safety? No. What they have is regret. And regret is the most painful result of fear, because unlike failure, which teaches you something, regret teaches you nothing, breaking the chains of fear. So how do you escape the grip of fear and comfort zones? Write it down. I am afraid of starting this business because I might fail. Seeing it in words removes some of its weight. Redefine failure. Stop treating failure as the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. Every great achiever failed repeatedly before winning. The difference is that they did not let fear of failure keep them from moving forward. Take micro leaps. You don't have to leap out of your comfort zone in one giant step. Start with small actions that stretch you. Speak up in a meeting. Post your first article. Make the phone call you've been avoiding. Each small step expands your comfort zone until what once scared you becomes natural. Use fear as fuel. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I never try?" Let the fear of regret push you harder than the fear of failure ever could. The truth about growth. Growth never feels comfortable. It never feels easy. That is the price you pay for transformation. Success doesn't come to those who wait until they feel ready. It comes to those who move forward despite the fear. Your mindset blocks your success. When you confuse fear with protection and comfort with safety, the truth is, your comfort zone is your enemy, and your fear is not your guide. It's your test. Every time you step through it, you weaken its power and strengthen your own. Imagine how different your life would look if you stopped letting fear make your choices. Imagine if, instead of avoiding discomfort, you embraced it as a sign you're growing. That is the shift that separates those who stay stuck from those who break through. Chapter 3. The Silent Saboteur. How negative self-talk destroys your potential. If fear is the guard keeping you inside your comfort zone, then negative self-talk is the invisible chain wrapped around your mind. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It whispers so often, and so consistently, that you start to mistake it for truth. Think about the voice in your head, the one that says, "I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. People won't take me seriously. Why even try? I'll just fail again." This voice may feel like it's protecting you, keeping you realistic, or helping you avoid disappointment, but in reality, it is the single greatest saboteur of your success. The origins of the inner critic. Where does this voice come from? Often, it's not even yours. It may come from childhood, when a teacher criticized your effort, or when a parent told you to stop dreaming. It may come from past failures, when you internalized the idea that one mistake defined your worth. Over time, these moments built a soundtrack in your head, a loop of doubt, criticism, and shame. The tragedy is this: most people never stop to question that inner voice. They assume it's telling the truth. They believe the whispers, and once you believe the inner critic, you start living small, hiding your gifts, and sabotaging your own success. The psychology of negative self-talk. Negative self-talk operates like a mental filter. Imagine two people both give a presentation at work. One forgets a sentence and thinks, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes. I did well overall." The other forgets the same sentence and thinks, "I'm terrible at public speaking. I embarrassed myself. I'll never do this again." The difference isn't performance. It's mindset. The inner critic magnifies mistakes and erases victories. It tells you that one bad moment cancels out all progress. It turns challenges into proof of weakness, instead of opportunities for growth. Over time, this constant stream of negativity doesn't just damage your confidence, it rewires your brain. Neuroscientists have found that repeated negative thinking strengthens neural pathways of doubt and fear, making them your default response. The more you tell yourself you're not good enough, the more your brain believes it. The cost of believing the inner critic. The damage caused by negative self-talk is enormous. Lost opportunities. You won't apply for jobs, share ideas, or pursue dreams, because you've already convinced yourself you'll fail. Chronic stress. Your inner critic keeps you in a cycle of anxiety, always preparing for the worst. Weakened relationships. If you constantly criticize yourself, you either push people away or depend on them for validation, both of which harm connection. Reduced performance. Studies show that self-criticism actually reduces motivation and focus. When you think you're not capable, you perform below your true potential. In short, the inner critic doesn't protect you, it destroys you slowly. How to break free from negative self-talk. Breaking free is not about silencing your inner critic completely, because the truth is, that voice will never disappear entirely. Instead, it's about taking back control and refusing to let it run your life. Catch the critic in the act. Awareness is the first weapon. Notice when the voice appears. Write it down. For example, I just thought I'm not good enough for this role. Once you notice it, you separate yourself from it. You realize, this is a thought, not a fact. Challenge the lie. Ask, is this absolutely true? Where's the evidence? More often than not, the critic has no proof. If your thought says, I always fail, you can immediately find examples of times you succeeded. Exposing the exaggeration weakens its grip. Replace with empowering self-talk. Don't just cancel negative thoughts. Replace them. Instead of I'm not ready, say, I'm learning and improving every day. Instead of I'll fail, say, this is a chance to grow. Practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a loved one. If your best friend made a mistake, you wouldn't say, you're worthless. You'd say, it's okay. You'll do better next time. Why not treat yourself with the same kindness? Reframe. Failure. When the critic says, you failed, so you're a failure, remind yourself, failure is an event, not an identity. You can fail at something without being defined by it. The shift that changes everything. Imagine if you replaced the constant stream of criticism with encouragement. Imagine if, instead of tearing yourself down, your inner voice became your greatest coach. This isn't just theory. Research shows that positive self-talk improves performance, increases resilience, and boosts confidence. Athletes use it. Leaders use it. High achievers use it. The reason is simple. Your mind listens to your words. If you feed it garbage, it will act accordingly. If you feed it strength, it will rise to match. Your inner world creates your outer world. This chapter's lesson is simple, but life-changing. The way you speak to yourself creates the way you live your life. If you constantly criticize yourself, you'll live small. If you encourage yourself, you'll live boldly. If you doubt yourself, you'll hesitate. If you trust yourself, you'll act. Your mindset blocks your success when you let the critic become the narrator of your life story. But when you take back the pen and rewrite the narrative with belief, compassion, and courage, you unlock a life without limit. Chapter 4. Breaking the chains of limiting beliefs. If negative self-talk is the whisper that erodes your confidence, then limiting beliefs are the walls that trap you inside a small life. Unlike fleeting negative thoughts, limiting beliefs are deeply rooted convictions, often so ingrained you don't even realize they're controlling you. They determine how much money you think you can make, the kind of relationships you believe you deserve, the risks you're willing to take, and ultimately the quality of the life you live. What are limiting beliefs? A limiting belief is a story you've accepted as truth, even though it's nothing more than a perspective. For example, I'm not smart enough to succeed. People like me never get rich. Success is for others, not for me. I don't have the time or resources to change my life. Notice that these statements sound definitive. They masquerade as facts, but they're actually assumptions. Assumptions that shrink your choices, your courage, and your ambition. Where do they come from? Often from backing. Maybe you grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees or be realistic. Culture and society messages like stay in your lane, don't rock the boat, or this is how it's always, past failures. One mistake or rejection convinces you that you're not capable. Comparison. Seeing others succeed and assuming you're somehow less. Over time, these beliefs build a mental prison, and most people don't even realize they're the ones holding the key. The invisible glass ceiling. Picture a flea in a jar. Scientists once placed fleas in a container with a lid. At first, the fleas jumped and hit the lid repeatedly. Eventually, they learned not to jump as high, so they wouldn't hit the lid. When the lid was removed, none of them jumped out even though nothing held them back anymore. That's how limiting beliefs work. The lid isn't there, but because you've trained yourself to believe in the barrier, you never attempt to go beyond it. How many people stay in jobs they hate because they believe they can't do better? How many stay stuck in unhealthy relationships because they believe they don't deserve more? How many never chase dreams because they believe they're not the type of person who succeeds? These are not walls of stone. They are illusions, but they feel as real as concrete. The cost of living in limiting beliefs. The damage of holding on to limiting beliefs is devastating. Lost potential. You'll never know what you're capable of because you won't even try. Chronic frustration. Deep down, you sense you're made for more, but the belief keeps you trapped in less. Reinforced mediocrity. When you act small, you confirm the belief, which then strengthens the prison wall. Missed opportunities. You say no to possibilities before they can say yes to you. Generational chains. Your children and those around you often adopt the same beliefs, passing down limitation like a family heirloom. This is why identifying and breaking limiting beliefs is one of the most important steps toward lasting success. Identifying your own limiting beliefs. The tricky part. Many of your 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 limiting beliefs. Ask yourself these questions. What goals have I secretly wanted but dismissed as impossible? What excuses do I repeat to justify staying stuck? When I think about success, what doubts immediately surface? Do I often think in absolutes? Always, never, can't, don't. For example, if you constantly tell yourself I don't have time, that's not reality, it's a belief. The truth is, you make time for what matters most. The problem is, you believe you don't have control over your time, so you surrender it to distractions. How to break free from limiting beliefs. The good news is that limiting beliefs are not permanent. They can be challenged, reshaped and replaced with empowering ones. Here's how. Expose the lie. Write down a belief that's holding you back. For example, I'll never be good at business. Then ask, is this an absolute fact? Who decided this? Usually you'll realize it's not a fact. It's an assumption. Find the source. Trace it back. Did a teacher, parent or experience plant this seed? Realize that just because someone once said it doesn't mean it's true. It's often their limitation, not yours. Gather contradicting evidence. Look for proof that the belief isn't universal. If you believe people like me can't succeed, find examples of people with your background who have succeeded. Every contradiction weakens the belief. Reframe the narrative. Replace I can't with I haven't yet. Replace I'm not good enough with I'm learning and improving every day. Subtle shifts in language create powerful shifts in mindset. Take small but bold action. Action is the ultimate belief shift. If you believe I'm terrible at public speaking, join a small speaking group. Take one step and prove the belief wrong. Every action outside the prison cracks the walls. Install empowering beliefs. Just as you once adopted limiting beliefs, you can adopt liberating one. For example, I am capable of learning anything I commit to. Opportunities are everywhere. I just need to recognize them. I deserve success, joy and freedom. These are not empty affirmations. repeated consistently with action. They rewire your subconscious to believe in your potential. The butterfly effect of breaking beliefs. When you break one limiting belief, the effect ripples into every area of your life. Imagine someone who believes, "I'm not smart enough to start a business." After challenging this, they launch a small side project. That small success proves the belief wrong, which builds confidence. Suddenly, they think, "If I could do this, maybe I can also learn investing. Then maybe I can negotiate for a better salary." One shattered belief becomes a chain reaction that transforms your entire life, your new reality. The truth is this: your beliefs create your reality. If you believe you're powerless, you will act powerless. If you believe you're capable, you will act capable, and your actions will shape the results you experience. The walls that hold you back are not outside of you. They are within you, but so are the tools to break them. You don't need to build a new self. You simply need to remove the lies, illusions and false limits that have covered your true potential. Once you see the prison for what it is, you realize the door was never locked. You were always free. Chapter 5: Fear of Failure, the silent saboteur of your dreams. Fear. It's one of the most universal human emotions, and when channeled correctly, it can keep you safe, alert, and cautious. But when it comes to your goals, dreams and ambitions, fear, especially the fear of failure, becomes the silent saboteur. It convinces you to shrink your vision, play small and stay in the shadows, even when greatness is calling you forward. The tragedy is this: fear doesn't just stop you from failing, it also stops you from succeeding. The subtle power of fear. Unlike anger or excitement, fear doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It says, "What if you embarrass yourself? What if you lose money? What will people think if you try and fail?" Better safe than sorry. At first these thoughts feel protective, but underneath, they're toxic. They kill your courage before it ever has a chance to act. Imagine a door that leads to everything you've ever wanted: success, freedom, fulfillment. The fear of failure doesn't slam the door in your face. It convinces you not to even touch the handle. How fear of failure shows up. It doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it disguises itself as pious-taya, procrastination. You delay starting because you're worried you won't do it perfectly. Over-preparation. You spend endless time researching but never act. Perfectionism. You convince yourself you'll start once it's perfect, which is never. Self-sabotage. You unconsciously make mistakes to justify staying in your comfort zone. Settling for less. You convince yourself, "This is good enough," when deep down you want more. Fear doesn't always scream, "Don't try." Sometimes it simply whispers, "Not yet." The roots of fear of failure. Where does this fear come from? Back childhood conditioning. Growing up, maybe you were punished or shamed for mistakes. You learned that failure equals pain. Social pressure. Society often glorifies success, while mocking failure, making you dread the judgment of others. The comparison culture. Seeing curated images of success online makes you fear that your journey won't measure up. Internal standards. Many high achievers fear failure because they set impossible standards and hate falling short. These roots dig deep into your subconscious, shaping decisions without your awareness. The true cost of fear of failure, isn't just uncomfortable. It's expensive. It robs you of payer. Opportunities. You say no before the world has a chance to say yes. Growth. Every failure contains lessons, but if you never fail, you never grow. Confidence. Ironically, avoiding failure erodes confidence more than failing does. Time. You lose years, waiting for the right moment which never arrives. Potential. The life you could have lived remains just a dream. What most people fail to realize is that inaction is the greatest failure of all. Reframing failure as feedback. The most successful people on the planet don't see failure the way most people do. To them, failure is not a dead end. It's data. Thomas Edison tested over 1,000 versions of the light bulb before finding one that worked. He didn't say, "I failed." He said, "I found 1,000 ways that don't work." Michael Jordan, often considered the greatest basketball player of all time, famously said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Entrepreneurs, inventors, leaders, all of them treat failure as a stepping stone, not a tombstone. Every failure contains information. It tells you what needs adjusting, what doesn't work, and what direction to pivot toward. Failure is simply feedback in disguise. Practical strategies to conquer fear of failure. Here are powerful steps to break free from fear's grip. Redefine success. Instead of defining success only as the end result, define it as progress. Ask, did I learn something today? Did I take action? By this definition, even failure becomes success. Shrink the stakes. Fear often grows because we treat every decision as life or death. Instead, reduce the scale. Break big goals into smaller experiments. You don't have to launch a business today. You just need to test an idea. Practice failing small. Intentionally take small risks, where the cost of failure is low. Speak up in a meeting. Share an idea. Test a skill. Each small failure toughens your resilience for bigger risks. Detach from others' opinions. Fear of failure often comes from fear of judgment. Remember this. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to think about you. Stop giving weight to opinions that don't pay your bills or shape your destiny. There's where lies recovery, not just disaster. People with fear of failure obsess over worst-case scenario. Instead, visualize bouncing back. Imagine yourself learning, adapting, and moving forward after a setback. This builds confidence in your ability to recover. Anchor to purpose. When your purpose is bigger than your fear, you act. Think of a parent who overcomes fear to protect their child. When your why is powerful enough, fear becomes smaller than the mission. The counterintuitive secret. You need failure. Here's the paradox. The very thing you fear is the thing that will liberate you. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the process of success. No one has ever succeeded without failing along the way. The path to mastery is paved with mistakes, setbacks, and lessons learned the hard way. Instead of avoiding failure, embrace it. Welcome. Each failure gets you closer to the truth, closer to the skills you need, closer to the version of yourself who can handle success. Freedom lies beyond fear. Imagine how your life would change if you had no fear of failure. How bold would you be? What risks would you take? What opportunities would you finally say yes to? Fear of failure is the invisible chain keeping you from that life. And here's the truth. The chain is not unbreakable. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken it. Every time you fail and get back up, you prove to yourself that fear has no real power. On the other side of fear is freedom. The freedom to dream bigger, act bolder, and live the life you were always capable of living. Chapter 6. The Comfort Zone Trap. How playing safe blocks your growth. Most people imagine fear as the number one obstacle to success, but there is something even more dangerous. It doesn't scream. It doesn't paralyze you with panic. It seduces you with ease, security, and familiarity. It's called the comfort zone. At first glance, the comfort zone feels like a safe haven. It's the place where routines are predictable, risks are minimal, and stress is manageable. But beneath the surface, it's a silent trap. While it shields you from discomfort, it also shields you from growth, opportunity, and transformation. What is the comfort zone really? The comfort zone is not a physical place. It's a psychological state. It's where your habits, beliefs, and routines keep you in a cycle of what feels safe and familiar. It's the career you tolerate, but don't love. It's the relationship that feels stable but not fulfilling. It's the goals you set that are achievable but uninspiring. Inside the comfort zone, you're not in danger, but you're not alive either. You're existing, not expanding. The hidden costs of comfort. While the comfort zone promises safety, the reality is that it robs you silently over time. Stunted growth. Skills only grow when stretched. Muscles only strengthen under resistance. The comfort zone removes resistance, which means you stagnate. Missed opportunities. The greatest chances in life often come disguised as discomfort. New jobs, new relationships, new skill. If you're unwilling to step into discomfort, you'll never see them. False security. What feels safe today might be risky tomorrow. Jobs disappear. Industries shift. Technology changes. If you never adapt, the safe path becomes the dangerous one. Mediocrity. Normalized. Perhaps the most dangerous cost is that mediocrity starts to feel normal. You lower your expectations to match your comfort, convincing yourself that this is just how life is. Why we stay trapped. If the comfort zone is so limiting, why do so many stay there? Fear of the unknown. The brain is wired to prefer familiar discomfort over unfamiliar possibility. Social pressure. People around you may say, be realistic. Don't take risks. Short-term pleasure. Comfort provides immediate relief, while growth provides delayed rewards. Lack of self-belief. Without confidence, discomfort feels impossible to handle. The truth, it's not laziness that keeps most people stuck. It's survival wiring. The brain associates discomfort with danger, even when that discomfort is the exact thing required for growth. The science of the comfort zone. Psychologists describe a state called the optimal anxiety zone. It's the sweet spot just beyond your comfort zone, where performance and growth are maximized. Too far outside and you hit panic. Too far inside and you stagnate. Think of it like exercise. Lift too light and you don't grow. Lift too heavy and you injure yourself. The right level of challenge makes you stronger. The same is true for your mindset. How to break free from the comfort zone. Start small but consistent. You don't need to leap out, you need to step out. If you fear networking, start by introducing yourself to one new person a week. If you fear risk, start with a small project, not a life-changing gamble. Redefine discomfort as growth. Instead of saying this feels uncomfortable, so it's wrong, say this feels uncomfortable, so I'm growing. Learn to see discomfort as evidence of expansion. Set impossible goals. Goals that stretch you force you into new behavior. Even if you fall short, you'll end up further than you would with safe goals. Practice courage daily. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of it. Train courage like a muscle. Do one thing each day that scares you, even in small ways. Surround yourself with the bold. Comfort is contagious, but so is courage. Being around ambitious people normalizes growth, risk, and discomfort. Measure growth, not just results. Instead of asking, did I succeed? Ask, did I grow? This shifts the focus from perfection to progress. Real-world examples of breaking comfort. Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty, she broke every expectation of her circumstances by constantly stepping into discomfort, from speaking on local radio to creating her own network. Elon Musk. Faced with the collapse of his companies, he invested his last remaining funds, an enormous discomfort because he believed in the vision. Now those risks fuel global industries. J.K. Rowling, rejected by multiple publishers, she persisted through discomfort and transformed her story into one of the best-selling franchises in history. None of these people achieved greatness from comfort. They achieved it because they refused to stay where it felt safe. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Think of water. When it sits still, it becomes stagnant, murky and lifeless. But when it flows, it remains fresh, powerful and full of energy. Your mind and your life are the same. Comfort is stagnation. Discomfort is flow. The people who achieve extraordinary results in life are not necessarily the smartest, richest, or most talented. They're the ones willing to endure discomfort long enough to expand their capacity. Your challenge. Step out today. Ask yourself, what is one thing I've avoided because it's uncomfortable? Then commit to doing it. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. The truth is this: growth does not live in comfort. Everything you desire, confidence, wealth, health, fulfillment, exists on the other side of discomfort. The comfort zone is not where dreams are realized, it's where dreams quietly die. Step out, stay out, and watch your life expand in ways you never thought possible. Chapter 7. Self-doubt. The inner critic that silences potential. You've probably experienced it before. The hesitation before raising your hand, the voice in your head before submitting an application, the quiet whisper saying, "You're not good enough." That is self-doubt, one of the most destructive forces in human potential. Unlike fear, which warns you about danger, self-doubt convinces you that you are the danger. It doesn't say, "That goal is risky." It says, "You are not capable of achieving it." This subtle shift makes self-doubt even more dangerous than fear itself, because fear questions the situation. Self-doubt questions you. The anatomy of self-doubt. Self-doubt is born out of repeated patterns of perfectionism, believing you must be flawless before starting, past failures, using yesterday's mistakes as evidence of tomorrow's outcome, negative conditioning, hearing messages like "you're not smart enough" or "don't aim too high." Over time, these influences become internalized. You don't need others to doubt you anymore. You do it for them. The cost of self-doubt. Self-doubt may feel small, but its consequences are massive. Paralyzed decisions. You delay making choices because you're never certain you'll succeed. Unrealized dreams. You shrink your goals to match your doubts, never discovering your full potential. Lower confidence. The more you doubt yourself, the less you try, and the less you try, the less confident you become. Dependency on validation. You seek constant approval because you don't trust your own judgment. Cycle of regret. Opportunities slip by, and you're left wondering, what if I had believed in myself? In the end, self-doubt doesn't just kill your confidence, it kills your future. The inner critic versus the inner coach. Inside every person lives two voices. The inner critic says, "You can't do this, you'll fail, you're not enough." The inner coach says, "You've handled challenges before, you can learn, you're capable of growth." The problem is that most people feed the critic and starve the coach. They give more energy to doubt than to belief, but whichever voice you feed becomes stronger. Famous figures who overcame self-doubt, even the most successful people you admire, have wrestled with self-doubt. Albert Einstein once said, "The exaggerated esteem in which my work is held makes me very ill at ease. I feel compelled to think of myself as an involuntary swindler." This is now known as imposter syndrome. Maya Angelou, despite writing multiple best-selling books, admitted, "I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find me out now." Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks, doubted whether anyone would believe in his vision of turning coffee into a global brand, yet he acted anyway. These stories remind us, Doubt doesn't disappear before success. It often exists alongside. The difference is whether you act in spite of it. Practical strategies to overcome self-doubt. Collect evidence of your strengths. Keep a journal of past achievements, no matter how small. When doubt arises, look back at the proof that you are capable. Limit comparisons. Remember that social media is a highlight reel, not reality. Stop measuring your beginning against someone else's middle. Take imperfect action. Waiting for certainty is a trap. Progress is built by action. Even messy action creates momentum and builds belief. Reframe mistakes as training. Athletes don't quit because of missed shots. They train harder. View every mistake as practice, not proof of inadequacy. Borrow belief until yours grows. Surround yourself with mentors, friends and communities that see your potential. When your belief wavers, lean on theirs until yours strengthens. Build identity-based confidence. Instead of saying, "I will succeed," say, "I am the type of person who persists, who learns, who grows." Confidence anchored in identity is harder to shake. How self-doubt blocks abundance. Think of opportunities as doors. Self-doubt is the voice that says, "Don't knock, they won't open." But the truth is, most doors remain closed, not because they're locked but because you never tried to open them. Every promotion, every chance at love, every business idea that changes lives, they all die at the hands of unchallenged doubt. Transforming doubt into drive. What if you didn't see self-doubt as the enemy, but as a signal? Doubt shows you where you need to grow. Doubt points to the areas where courage is required. Doubt highlights the very places where your greatest breakthroughs live. Instead of running from doubt, you can run toward it, because the very goals that trigger the most self-doubt are often the ones that will change your life the most. You are not broken. You are becoming. Here's the truth. Self-doubt doesn't mean you're incapable. It means you're human. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has felt the same voice inside. The difference is, they didn't let it define them. You don't have to eliminate doubt to succeed. You only need to stop obeying it. Act with doubt in your heart. Step forward with uncertainty in your mind, because each step taken with doubt weakens its grip and strengthens your belief. Your potential isn't waiting for the day when doubt disappears. It's waiting for the day when you stop listening to it. Chapter 8. Limiting Beliefs. The Invisible Chains of the Mind. If self-doubt is the whisper that says, "You can't," then limiting beliefs are the unspoken rules that insist, "You should." They live quietly in the background of your mind, shaping decisions, filtering possibilities, and defining what you think is possible for someone like you. Unlike fear, which reacts to the present, or doubt, which questions your abilities, limiting beliefs are deeper. They form the very foundation of how you see yourself, others, and the world. The hidden power of beliefs. At first glance, beliefs may seem like harmless thoughts, but beliefs are not just thoughts. They are the lens through which you interpret reality. Two people can face the same situation, yet their beliefs determine two completely different outcomes. One person believes failure is fatal, so they never try. Another person believes failure is feedback, so they grow stronger with each attempt. The same world, the same challenges, two very different lives, all shaped by beliefs. Where limiting beliefs come from. Most limiting beliefs are not chosen. They are inherited, absorbed, or conditioned. Common sources include these phrases, often repeated by well-meaning parents, teachers, or guardians, plant seeds that grow into lifelong limitation. Societal messages, culture, media, and systems often reinforce limiting stories about gender, race, class, or background. These messages become silent scripts running in the mind. Or if I try, I'll only get hurt again. Over time, these beliefs stop being questioned. They become truths that shape identity. Common limiting beliefs that block success. I don't deserve success. I'm not the type of person who can lead. If I fail, everyone will laugh at me. I must have everything figured out before I begin. Limisa, people like me don't succeed. What makes these beliefs so dangerous is that they often operate unconsciously. You may not even realize they're guiding your choices. Our limiting beliefs hold you hostage. Imagine standing in a wide open field, free to run in any direction. Now imagine invisible electric fences placed around you. You can't see them, but every time you move toward growth, you feel resistance. Eventually you stop trying. That's exactly what limiting beliefs do. They don't lock the doors to opportunity. You do, by believing they're locked. The tragedy is not that most people fail, it's that they never even attempt because they believe they can't. Real-world example, the student who settles. He believes he's not smart enough for higher education, so he avoids applying to universities, never knowing he could have excelled with effort. The professional who stays stuck. He wants a promotion, but believes he's not leadership material, so he stays in the same position for decades. Each of these people has potential. Each of them has opportunity, but their beliefs, unseen, unquestioned, become their prison. Shattering limiting beliefs. Here's the liberating truth. Beliefs are not facts, they are interpretations, and interpretations can be changed. 1. Identify the belief. Ask yourself, what do I believe about myself in this situation? Is this belief helping me or holding me back? 2. Question its validity. Challenge it. Where did I learn this belief? Oh, I have absolute proof it's true. Replace with empowering beliefs. Swap I'm not good enough with I am learning and growing stronger every day. Replace people like me don't succeed with people like me succeed, because we are resilient. Gather evidence for the new belief. Collect wins, achievements and feedback to reinforce the empowering belief until it becomes your new normal. 5. Act before you believe. Sometimes belief follows action. Don't wait until you fully believe in yourself. Take small steps. Each step chips away at the old belief and strengthens the new one. Stories of transformation. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Today she's one of the most influential media moguls in history. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Instead of believing he was a failure, he reframed it as finding 10,000 ways that don't work. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. If she had believed the rejections, the world would never know her stories. These individuals shattered their limiting beliefs, not because they had no doubt, but because they refused to let doubt be the final verdict. How limiting beliefs affect abundance. Limiting beliefs aren't just mental, they affect financial, emotional and spiritual growth. Believe money is evil, you'll unconsciously push it away. Believe love is unsafe, you'll sabotage relationships. Believe you're not worthy of happiness, you'll resist opportunities that could bring it. Your outer world mirrors your inner world. Change the belief, and you change the reality. The freedom beyond beliefs. Imagine the life you could create if you stopped obeying the invisible rules in your mind. Imagine decisions made not from fear, but from possibility. Imagine potential unleashed, because you believed you were capable of more. The truth is, you are not your limiting beliefs. You are the thinker of those beliefs, which means you can choose to release them and create new ones. Every belief is like a story. You've been repeating old stories for years, but you are also the author. And right now you have the Chapter 9. Fear of failure and fear of success. Breaking free from the silent saboteurs. When people think of obstacles to success, they usually imagine external barriers. Lack of money, lack of time, lack of connections. But the most powerful obstacles are not external, they are internal, rooted in fear. Two of the most destructive fears are fear of failure, and its often overlooked twin, fear of success. They may seem opposite, but both can quietly sabotage progress and keep you from realizing your potential. The fear of failure, the great paralyzer. Fear of failure is deeply ingrained in human psychology. From childhood, many are conditioned to associate failure with shame, rejection, and punishment. We grow up hearing phrases like, "Don't mess up. What will people think if you fail? If you fail, it means you're not capable." Failure stops being about learning and growth. It becomes a reflection of personal worth. How fear of failure shows up: perfectionism, constantly waiting for the perfect moment, plan or product before acting; procrastination, delaying action, not because of laziness, but because of fear that efforts won't be good enough; self-sabotage, quitting too early or creating excuses so you can say "I didn't really try," instead of risking true failure; inaction, the most dangerous outcome, never even starting. Fear of failure keeps countless dreams locked away in journals, ideas buried in someday lists, and talents hidden from the world. The fear of success, the thane enemy. While fear of failure is easier to spot, fear of success is more subtle. At its core, fear of success is the anxiety about what will happen if things do go well. If I succeed, people will expect more from me. If I succeed, I'll lose friends or relationships. If I succeed, I won't be able to handle the pressure. If I succeed, I'll no longer have excuses. This fear makes success feel dangerous, heavy, or even undesirable. It convinces you that staying small is safer than stepping into the unknown. How fear of success shows up: downplaying achievements, refusing to acknowledge progress, always saying it's no big deal; imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud even when you're excelling; sabotaging growth, turning down opportunities because the timing isn't right; isolation, avoiding standing out to prevent jealousy, criticism, or pressure. Both fears serve the same purpose: keeping you in your comfort zone. But the comfort zone is never truly comfortable. It is a place of stagnation disguised as safety. The real cost of fear, fear of failure, and success, silently drain life energy. Together they prevent innovation by discouraging risk-taking, kill creativity because ideas feel too risky, weaken resilience, since setbacks are seen as proof of inadequacy, limit income and opportunities by keeping people from pursuing bold moves, damage self-esteem, reinforcing the belief that one is not capable of more. The irony: by avoiding failure or success, people fail by default. They lose the very opportunities they are trying to protect themselves from. Shifting your perspective on failure. To dismantle fear, you must reframe what failure means. Failure is data, not identity. Every failed attempt provides information: what worked, what didn't, what to try next. Failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Failure is a step in mastery. No skill, craft, or career grows without mistakes. Failure is the tuition you pay for wisdom. Failure is universal. Every successful person you admire has failed, often more than the average person has even tried. Reframing success. Fear of success often comes from the belief that success is overwhelming or isolating. But success, properly understood, is not a burden. It is a platform to serve, grow, and expand. Success is a responsibility, not a curse. With success comes responsibility, but responsibility can be shared, delegated, and enjoyed. Success expands, not restricts. True success opens more doors, creates more freedom, and provides resources to help others. Success redefines relationships. The right people celebrate your growth. Those who resent it were never truly aligned with your journey. Practical tools to break free from fear. The fear. Visualize failure. Then rehearse resilience. Instead of avoiding the thought of failure, imagine it fully. Then visualize yourself recovering, adapting, and thriving afterward. This builds psychological safety. Redefine winning. Winning is not never failing. Winning is consistently learning, adapting, and moving forward. Take micro risks. Daily small risks. Speaking up. Posting your idea. Trying something new. Train your brain to become comfortable with discomfort. Track success without guilt. Keep a success journal. Write down wins, compliments, and progress. This reinforces the idea that success is safe and repeatable. Build a resilient environment. Surround yourself with people who see failure as feedback and success as celebration. Community helps rewire fear-based thinking. Stories of fear. Transformed. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Instead of believing he was a failure, he used it to fuel relentless practice and became one of the greatest athletes in history. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, credits her success to her father, who asked her weekly, "What did you fail at this week?" Failure became a sign of growth, not shame. Albert Einstein struggled in school and was labeled slow, but his failures became stepping stones toward revolutionary discoveries. These figures didn't escape fear. They acted with fear and learned that growth lies on the other side of discomfort. A life beyond fear. Imagine what would happen if failure didn't scare you and success didn't intimidate you. How many ideas would you act on? How many chances would you take? How many versions of yourself would you unlock? The truth is this: fear doesn't disappear, but it can be trained, reframed, and redirected. Fear can be a signal to pay attention, not a command to stop. When you stop letting fear of failure or success dictate your choices, you reclaim the most powerful freedom of all, the freedom to create your own life without apology, without hesitation, and without limit. Chapter 10. Reprogramming your mind for unlimited growth and lasting success. By now you've seen how fear, doubt, and limiting beliefs hold people back from their greatest potential. But understanding your mindset is only the beginning. The real transformation comes when you actively reprogram your mind, when you consciously choose to think, act, and live in alignment with success. Your mindset is not fixed. It is malleable, like clay in the hands of a sculptor. And you are the sculptor. In this chapter, we will go deeper into practical methods for rewiring your mind, so that success becomes your natural state of being. Not a lucky accident, not a rare breakthrough, but a consistent lifestyle. The science of reprogramming the mind. Your brain is wired through a process called neuroplasticity. This means that the neural pathways you repeat your thoughts, habits, and actions literally carve grooves in your brain. The more you repeat something, the stronger the pathway becomes. Think daily about failure, and failure becomes your default lens. Think daily about growth, and growth becomes your default reaction. This is why reprogramming is possible. You don't have to fight old thoughts directly. You simply need to replace them with new ones, over and over, until the new programming dominates. Step 1. Identify the core programming. Before change, there must be awareness. Ask yourself, what beliefs do I hold about money, success, relationships, or happiness? Which of these beliefs empower me? Which ones weaken me? What patterns keep repeating in my life, and what belief fuels them? Often the most powerful limiting beliefs hide behind excuses like, "Hey, that's just the way I am. This always happens to me. It's too late for me." These are not truths. They are programs waiting to be rewritten. Step 2. Rewrite the script. Your mind is like a theater. Old scripts keep playing, but you have the power to write new ones. Instead of "I'm not capable," say "I am resourceful and always finding ways forward." Instead of "I always mess up," say "Every step I take is teaching me something valuable." Instead of "I don't deserve success," say My success creates space for others to thrive. At first, these phrases may feel unnatural. That's normal. Repetition is key. The brain resists new wiring until it becomes familiar. Step 3. Anchor the beliefs with action. Thoughts without action dissolve. To lock in new programming, you must pair beliefs with consistent action. Believe in resilience. Prove it by tackling one difficult task daily. Believe in growth. Read, practice or learn something every day. Believe in abundance. Start saving, investing, or giving, even in small amounts. Action creates evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Belief shapes identity. Step 4. Use visualization as mental rehearsal. Elite athletes, CEOs and performers all use visualization to prime the brain for success. The mind cannot easily distinguish between vivid imagination and lived reality. Visualize not just the achievement but also the process. See yourself waking early, energized and disciplined. Imagine yourself walking into meetings with confidence. Picture yourself handling setbacks with calm resilience. When reality arrives, your brain will already recognize it as familiar territory. Step 5. Harness the power of environment. Your environment shapes your programming more than you realize. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, gossip and doubt, no amount of positive self-talk will override it. Audit your circle. Who uplifts you? Who drains you? Audit your input. What do you watch, read or listen to? Audit your space. Is your environment cluttered or inspiring? Upgrade your environment, and you automatically upgrade your mindset. Step 6. Build resilient daily rituals. Long-term success doesn't come from one-time motivation. It comes from daily rituals that align your mind and body. Some proven rituals include morning priming, gratitude practice, affirmations, and visualization. Reflection. Journaling to process lessons and reset your mind. These rituals anchor your new programming into daily life until it becomes second nature. The mindset of infinite growth. When you strip away fear, doubt and limitation, you arrive at the most powerful mindset of all, the growth mindset. A growth mindset. A growth mindset says, failure is feedback, effort compounds into mastery. Potential is limitless when effort is consistent. This is not blind optimism. It is a realistic, empowered way of living that sees every situation as an opportunity to grow. Stories of reprogramming in action. Instead of adopting the belief that life was over, he reprogrammed his mind toward resilience and reconciliation. Upon release, he became a global leader for peace. Jim Carrey wrote himself a $10 million check for acting services rendered before he was famous. Years later, he cashed his first check for exactly that amount. His visualization, paired with relentless action, rewired his reality. Elon Musk reprogrammed failure itself, treating every failed rocket launch as a data point, not an identity crisis. His mindset turned repeated setbacks into the foundation of SpaceX's breakthroughs. These stories show what happens when people refuse to stay trapped in old programming. Reprogramming is a lifelong practice. It's important to understand. Reprogramming is not a one-time event. Your mind is constantly absorbing, adjusting, and reshaping. That means you must consciously choose your programming every day. Daily inputs shape your thoughts. Daily habits shape your outcomes. Daily beliefs shape your identity. Success is not something you stumble into. It is something you design through disciplined thought, action, and choice. Living beyond limits. Imagine waking up tomorrow without the invisible chains of limiting beliefs, fear or doubt. Imagine moving boldly toward opportunities instead of hesitate. Imagine trusting your resilience so deeply that setbacks no longer shake you. This is not a distant dream. It is available to you right now. The key is reprogramming your mind, one thought, one habit, and one action at a time. Because the truth is, your mindset doesn't just influence your success, it determines it. Change your mind, and you change your life.